Hello, everyone. So today I'm going to be doing the second half of my Q&A. So before I did a Q&A just with questions having to do with higher forms, and this Q&A is just going to be everything else. So this should be very fun. I really like to look at people's questions and just talk about them. It's really, really fun. But before we get into that, I just want to let you know about my psychic development course. In this course, I take you through the process that I followed to open and further develop my psychic abilities. There are 8 modules. So in module 1, we go over the basics. In module 2, we focus on clearing the body of trauma to receive information clearly. In 3, we go into spirit guides, dealing with dark forces, and things like that. And module 4, we do exercises and psychic games to help activate our psychic abilities. 5 is tools, 6 is practice sessions, and so on. And when you join, you also get access to a community group where you can ask questions as you go through the course. And you get lifetime access to the course itself. Click the link below to learn more and to sign up. I also just wanted to show you my sweatshirt. It's just so cute. This was like my favorite movie. One of my favorite movies because I love the cats in it. Okay, so the first question is, how has human DNA been tampered with? How is that possible? So I do believe that our DNA is tampered with through food, water, chemicals in the air, pharmaceuticals, and even before we're born. So I do have to be careful talking about this kind of thing, but there are certain procedures that are done before people are born. And the procedure I'm talking about is this. So I don't want to actually say it in case, I don't know, the video gets flagged. So when you're giving your egg to a lab to go through this procedure, this is not a natural process. This is an artificial process that's done in a lab. You don't know what they're doing to that egg. You don't know what kind of other ingredients they're using. It's not a natural process. I also think freezing your eggs can do a similar thing. So basically, the DNA of the egg is being tampered with and turning the DNA into this more, I guess you could say, more of a robotic-y kind of thing. However, this is just the physical body. All of this can be overcome by your soul DNA, but people who are born from this procedure, it's almost like they become possessed more easily by these kind of lower astral forms. If you have more questions about it, let me know, but it's pretty straightforward what they're doing. So I do not recommend that at all. If you aren't able to have a baby, there are more natural ways to boost your fertility, and I don't think it's good. It doesn't produce a healthy outcome. And people will kind of zero in on something and say, oh, I'm not doing, or oh, I'm having a natural birth and I'll be okay. But the DNA tampering is happening on so many angles that if you're living in this world, everyone is kind of affected by it. Another procedure that could affect the DNA is that, but it really does depend on your actual own cultural background. So many little things. And your own soul DNA is more powerful than this like rinky dink kind of DNA that we have on this material plane. So just always remember that you can override anything with your soul's DNA. So by tampering with our physical DNA here, they're giving us the illusion that we're weak and we're sick, but we're really not. It's just the illusion that they're creating for us. So our bodies are actually very strong in the higher planes, like I always say. I'm not sure if you've addressed this already, But how do we navigate the destruction and harm that's going on in the world, i.e., Gaza? What is the purpose? Do we engage and try to help from afar, or is our energy more useful elsewhere? So, yeah, the stuff going on in Gaza right now, that is a real thing that is happening. To me, a lot of these wars are actually land grabs, and I feel like that's what's going on in Gaza. So there are certain lands that are special and sacred, and there is a group of people who want to have control of those lands. And you can see that happening in Gaza. So it is very, very sad that this has to happen. If you feel like you want to help Gaza or help with any of these wars, I think the best thing to do is to get as close to them as possible. So making sure that your charity and your help is really helping them, because there's actually a lot of fake videos going around about the Gaza war and people asking for money, but they're fake videos. They're either actors or it's an AI video. I've noticed this a lot. There's another lady on Instagram who's noticed the same thing. I'm like, yes, this is totally happening. So I would suggest to try to get involved in an organization that you really know is connected to the Gaza war, not just like a donation stream that you found on Instagram. I don't think that's a good idea. As for protesting, I noticed that a lot of protests are being taken over by the government, like government agencies and stuff. So this is a very common thing that happens where there's like a big uproar about something, and then the government or the CIA will plant people to kind of steer the protest in the direction that they want. And I feel like that's happening with the Gaza protests at this point. I don't feel like it was in the beginning. So be aware that if you go to a protest, you could be participating in that. Yeah. So if you feel in your heart that you really need to be doing this, then do it. And the higher reason why this is happening in Gaza is because of the spiritual war. So the war between the fallen and unfallen angels. So many things are related back to that. It's this kind of battle that's going on everywhere. Is it possible to manifest a painless birth experience? What are some tips from the higher realms? So I didn't get a ton for this, but I did get that you should be very, very relaxed. So when you are going to give birth, be as relaxed as you possibly can. Maybe taking a hot bath to really relax your muscles. Another thing is to give birth standing up or give birth in like a squatting position. That's what I got. How can an RH negative control or alleviate their psychic abilities when they are strong in their power, but know nothing about how to wield it or protect themselves, with nobody to teach them or guide them through this very frightening process with little to no money? So I did do a post on the RH negative bloodline, which I will link below. And there are certain bloodlines who are more sensitive. They feel things very, very strongly. And the RH negative is one of those groups. So if you find yourself activating your powers more, maybe you're in the astral and you feel very overwhelmed by the experience, it is very important to remember that there's no other soul who can have authority over you. You are your own authority. So just really remember that when you are doing any kind of psychic work, or you are in the astral and you're kind of getting all these thought forms kind of coming at you, there is no other force or soul that can take a sword and just like slash you and end your life. It's not possible. That's not the way things work. So if you can just remember that, that will really help in your psychic explorations. If you are experiencing some kind of attack, you can go on the offense. I find the best way to get those dark energies away from you is to call your angel family in, call them into your heart. It's kind of about meeting those energies. Let's say you're asking your angel family to come to you, and when you're asking, they're going to meet you like at this peak. And when you meet with that energy, you're going to feel, how do I describe it? To me, it kind of feels like a spirally kind of energy. So you're just going to feel like this kind of spirally, kind of like flowery, blossomy, really nice energy that feels so calm and open. To me, that is a good way to keep yourself protected. If you have confidence in yourself and you feel indestructible, that is a really good defense. And you absolutely do not need to pay for any kind of guidance for this. You are kind of your own obstacle and you are your own path, if that makes sense. A lot of this stuff, like astral traveling and discovering other aspects of yourself and developing spiritually, it is technically a solo experience, and people do it all on their own. And you will see that the more experiences you have, the more you'll become resilient to the kind of darker energies and thought forms that are coming at you. It'll happen gradually. So don't worry too much about that. Like, you will be able to handle it. It's supposed to be this more gradual learning process, unfortunately. Your goal would be to be able to face a demon like who's coming right at you and just be like, what are you doing, bro? Just to be totally cool and totally relaxed. That's kind of your goal. So, and you can do it. You can do it. And on the other hand, there are some more physical aspects to getting spiritually attacked. And if you're an RH negative person, you have to listen to yourself and be very aware when these changes happen. So sometimes I will walk into a house and feel this very dark energy. And because I'm so sensitive, I feel it very strongly, and everyone else around me is totally fine with it, but I can really feel it. So in those situations, you may have to make some changes. So you may have to go to a different place. You may have to sage the place. Really pay attention to that, because it's not just you being crazy. Some locations and some houses, some people, some objects can have weird energies or just dark energies where it disrupts you, it disrupts your field. So it is important to really pay attention to that and trust how you feel about it. Is it true that in 2030 there will be a COVID pandemic disaster? So I see so many things happening in the next 5 to 10 years. So it's not just one thing that's going to happen, unfortunately. It's going to be a lot of different things at once. I do see some stuff happening with health. I see that there might be a flu-like epidemic that will be caused by things that are sprayed in the air. And I also saw in one of my recent readings, I think it was the October one, where there might be another vax getting pushed for another illness. But you will see there's going to be multiple things happening. There's going to be a lot of crazy weather to the point where people will leave where they're living. In one of my readings, I'll link it below, I talked about the weather changes. And in addition to all of this crazy stuff happening, there's going to be discoveries about our history, our real history. So it's like those two things are going to be happening in tandem. And there's going to be lots of other things happening. There's going to be aliens coming. It's funny, I've been saying the alien thing since I was in high school, and I'm still saying it. And we'll see if it happens. But yeah, so you'll see. What is happening now is very much a mass exodus of souls. So the goal is to get as many people out of this realm as possible. And if you're an angel who descended down or a higher avatar who descended down, it could have been your goal to make a path out for people. We're so in the dark about what's happening, but there is something happening. And it's basically getting people out of this particular, like, I guess you can call it a matrix. It's like a fallen matrix that we're in. What's the highest diet? All natural, vegan. If we have iron deficiency, is there a safe way to still transition? What do the higher beings say? What are their favorite foods they want to try on Earth? So I do think that the natural diet for humans is fruit. It just makes so much sense to me, and I that's what I got when I channeled it. However, we seem to need a bit of meat in our diet, and I don't think everyone needs a ton of meat. I think there are certain cultures who need more because they are kind of crossbred with a certain race of beings from a certain time. There is a more kind of carnivorous race that some cultures have more of that in them. Yeah, I know. And those people would probably need a bit more meat than another race. And it's not just because we're kind of crossbred with this more carnivorous race from the past. I actually talked about this more in this video. Also, our fruit and vegetables, it's very low in minerals and nutrients. We would be wise to eat more nutrient dense foods. We kind of just need it. And I would like to not eat meat. I think it's very weird to eat it. When I see meat in the grocery store packaged up, I'm like, that doesn't even look good. That looks horrible. And one time well, several times I've like cooked a chicken and I'm like, what am I doing? This is like so bad. I'm putting a whole chicken into the oven. I'm sure the chicken would be not happy with that. But I find that if I don't have a bit of meat or eggs or something like that, I don't feel good. I feel like I'm starving. So, yeah. So, as for the higher beings, some higher beings, they don't eat at all and they don't even pretend to eat. They just don't. So, the angels, they live on pure sun, pure sunlight. So, they don't even pretend to eat. They just always have a permanent source of energy. Elementals, so the fairies, they like berries and sweet things. Certain star races, the angelic star races, they eat very pure foods. So they eat fruit. They eat fruit that you probably have never seen and never heard of. They also, this is me channeling. Like I already channeled this before. They also drink very like pure water, water that you probably never heard of, a type of water you've never heard of that is very highly mineralized and nourishing. And they also will eat green stuff. I got so different plants that you've never probably seen before. So I don't think that it's possible to be 100% vegan at this time just because of what race we're mixed with. But I think some people can be mostly vegan more so than others. I will say that there's this video of a woman in a village, like a very remote village, who doesn't eat or drink anything. And she gets all of her energy from prayer. I'll add that video below because I find it very interesting. But I noticed that she's very tired and walks very slowly, even though she's not super, super old. So, but you can see it's kind of possible. And when it comes to iron deficiency, this is just based on my own experience, but I find that it's more of a balancing thing. So it's not about taking in a ton of iron. It's seeing, oh, I have too much of, I think the opposite of iron is copper or something like that. Double check that, but it's more about balancing those minerals. So for me, having a bit of meat helps with my iron deficiency, or taking an iron supplement if I'm not eating a lot of meat. But I take an animal-based iron supplement. Yeah, I tried to be vegan all through my 20s many times. I still wish I could be. So, yeah, that's just my experience with it. But let me know what you've experienced being vegan. Can we manifest the gender and physical appearance and any other personality traits of our future babies? I understand loving them for who they are, but can we daydream about our preferences and do those daydreams affect the manifestations? So this is very interesting question. I get psychically that you have a lot of options. So there are many souls lined up for you. Some are more karmic and earthly based, some are more high and from your highest soul family. It depends on your will, so the will of your soul and the will of their soul. So whoever kind of has the strongest will wins, basically, to come in if they want to come in. So if you want to bring someone in from your very, very high soul family, you can really try to connect, not try to connect to their energy and just be very sure about it and have that very strong will. And you can see if they will return that. As for gender, I do get that gender is tied to the balance needed for the whole earth. I think you could have some choice, but it is more about what the earth needs because you kind of need equal. You know what I mean? I just want to say something about babies and children and what that kind of means spiritually or how I see it. So when you look at any given family here, you have a whole mix of different energies going on, different frequencies going on. This is not really the case with your actual soul family where you have pretty much the same. You're just the same frequency. You're the exact same. So everything's very mixed up here. And maybe that's part of the design of this place. It's supposed to be like that. But I do find that if you have a child with someone who is part of your very, very high soul family and you guys are pretty much the same frequency, there is a high, high chance that you will bring down someone from your true highest soul family. There, of course, would be other factors kind of in there, but, and then I'll say another thing. I also find that when people who are very, very high soulmates have a child, have a baby, stuff may start happening because you've kind of increased your target. You were already a target by this matrix, by this fallen world when you met your soulmate, but now you three of you are together now. That's going to attract attention basically. So you have to be prepared for that. It's kind of like a war, a spiritual war that's playing out. And having babies is part of the spiritual war. That's why there's certain star race collectives who have all these projects on Earth to alter the DNA of people so they can turn people more artificial so they can incarnate into those bodies. Can we shift our physical appearance, even things that might be difficult to shift, just by the power of thought? I do believe the answer is yes, but what do angels, fairies have to say about it? Acne scars, facial asymmetry, or even eye shape and things. I do believe loving our current features is key, but I wonder. Yeah. So, yes, you absolutely can. There is this girl on Twitter, and I'll leave her profile link. She talks about how the eyes, so your eye color and the way your eyes change throughout your life, reflects spiritual aspects of you. It's so cool. And I really believe in that. You can also think about how certain elementals will express as having lighter eyes or darker eyes. Even the face shape can be affected by what elementals you're connected to. So This is just showing you that your soul DNA does affect your physical appearance. I actually find that when I do womb healing, that tends to affect my appearance for some reason. Maybe it's because I'm just so relaxed and then my hormones are able to do what they're supposed to do. Different spiritual practices, different meditations, and things like that can definitely help. As for the things that you were asking about, so acne scars, I had horrible acne when I was around 18, and I'm in my mid 30s now, but back then like it was bad. Like picture kind of the worst acne someone could have like on their face, and I had that. And this was kind of the worst time to have it, near the end of high school. It's like, are you serious? And after I had the acne, so after it went away, I actually was put on Accutane, which I feel really affected my health, like not in a good way for a long time. But it did clear my face technically. That's like a vitamin A supplement, basically, a very strong vitamin A supplement. I don't recommend it. It's poisonous, pretty much. But that cleared my face. And then I had acne scars for a while. Like I would say it took around like 5 years or so for them to clear. Cause like right now you can't really see them. But I guess if you look really, really close, you can maybe see a bit. But the skin regenerates every 7 years or so. So I found with the acne scars, it does take time. But psychically, I get that there are certain foods that can help. So think about what the skin needs: collagen, protein, like foods that build the skin could help. So I think things like eggs, the gelatin kind of stuff, so bone broths or just any kind of broth. Also, doing a honey mask. So I've actually been doing this lately and it makes my skin very bright and just nice. It doesn't look very nice right now because my skin is kind of dry, but you can take manuka honey or a kind of medicinal honey and wash your face with it. So you can get water and like rub it on your face, and just use it as a cleanser, and then put oil over top, and that will kind of act as an overnight mask. And that can help to heal the skin faster. The honey, it's something about the honey that does it. And also drinking more water. That will always make your skin more plump. And the facial asymmetry thing. So I actually have facial asymmetry. Like you guys probably have seen. Like you can see. Like I don't even want to show, but and it's because I had jaw surgery when I was younger. So my jaw is like a little bit offset. Um, that's why I don't like when random people take pictures of me because it usually just doesn't, it's not right. Like it's not on the right angle. But with facial asymmetry, I got psychically that it could be connected to tension on either side of the body. So if you like stretch the whole side of the body that is more tight, then over time that can help fix facial asymmetry. But I think facial asymmetry, I've had to kind of accept it through my life. And now I'm just like, whatever. I'm never going to be able to fix it. So, anyways, I've had this question about clones for a while. I'm not sure if you'll be able to answer it, but I've noticed this really weird push of the K-pop industry that just seems all the way off in terms of assimilating or pushing beauty standards that feel really artificial. So it gives me two feelings. One, that there are a lot of clones in that industry or weird hybrid beings and not the benevolent kind. I'm feeling cyborgs. I don't have anyone to verify this. So I thought I'd ask. So I'm not super familiar with the K-pop industry, but I looked into some K-pop bands and I actually like some K-pop. Like I like BTS. Their songs are pretty fun. When I look into the K-pop industry, I see, for example, we can use BTS as an example. They started out as actual people, like real people, not clones. Um, and they were connected to some fallen star races, so like some avian and stuff, and they were cloned. So I talked about this. I showed this in my Beatles reading, which is one of my favorite readings because it's just so crazy to actually see like, wow, they were cloned. They were cloned like pretty early on, and they were also actors played them at different places and continue to play them to this day. So whenever I see Paul McCartney or whatever on Instagram, I'm like, you are not Paul McCartney. Like, you're just not. It's just so funny. It's funny how, like, an entire world can be tricked like that and just believe it wholeheartedly. I just am so, I just get so shocked by that. This is why I don't really say a lot of these things in my everyday life or even online. I just kind of get defeated by it because no one else really sees it like I see it. It's like, I don't know. I'm not going to go around telling people, oh, did you know that those like Paul McCartney tickets that you bought, it's not really him because I don't think they even really care. So with BTS, for example, when you see them on the red carpet, those are literally clones, low key bio robots. So they're like very deep in that music industry. And I do notice that with these K-pop bands, you're right, they do look different. They look almost alien-like. If they're a boy, they look kind of feminine. They have these really big eyes and just really like thin face. So they may be part of that gray agenda to have like a neutral gender. I also noticed that they like hold up the peace sign, which is like an Illuminati thing. So it's like they hold up the V. Um, and they also like kind of like cover their eyes and stuff. So enough said, they're definitely part of some darker agenda. So when you're kind of picking up on that cyborg thing with them, you could be picking up, oh, they're like kind of like a bio robot. They're not really real. It's because they have been cloned. But I do feel like a lot of the bands started out as real people because you need a real person to make a clone, right? Sorry guys, my video stopped recording out of nowhere, so I'm going to just finish these questions through audio. Okay, the next question is, do you agree that this game slash construct is ending sometime soon and that everyone will wake up and have the full truth? Also, do you think that all of the solar storms and natural disasters happening is actually Earth's vibration rising, or is it artificially done by the bad guys? So I do think that there is a big spiritual awakening happening right now. So it's already happening. I have friends who have never even thought about anything spiritual who are suddenly having these visitations and dreams, or they're having activations. And this is very sudden, you know what I mean? So I just feel like people are believing more and more in a spirit world, and it's going to just continue on this route. So I don't think that the whole game is going to suddenly just turn off one day. I feel like it's going to be gradual, but we are definitely here to end the game. This creation that we're in, we are here to put it to an end just because it has gotten out of control. So I do feel like there's an infiltration happening right now of very high energies and people who have come from a very, very high place, almost like they're coming from outside of this creation. So you might be one of these people. And just by existing here in this very, very dark and backwards realm, we are disrupting it and we are causing other people to wake up. So, the realm that we are in, I actually see it as being covered by a frequency fence, basically. So, we are like, you could see us as being goldfish in a fishbowl. That's all we know. We don't really know what's going on outside of where we are. And it's because of the frequency fence, also our DNA has been altered a lot to just be really numbed out and to not be able to feel anything spiritual. But these higher beings, ascended masters, angels, like you guys, like it's actually us. It's not anything that's coming outside of us to change things. It's us. We are disrupting all of that. So in the future, though, I do see the sky literally opening up. So the kind of thing that you would see in a painting, how they used to do those paintings. Maybe I'll show some pictures actually just to show you. So I do see that actually happening in the future, like maybe 10 years from now. I don't really like to do exact dates because I don't find that they play out exactly. But yeah, that's just a general thing that I see and what other people have talked about this as well. And just keep in mind that right now we are kind of dreaming. Our consciousness is spread out into all these different avatars in all of these other realms. And what we're experiencing here is kind of like a dream, honestly. So the idea of waking up, it's kind of like we're waking up to what we already are outside of here. We are these more powerful, creative beings. And I do see it being a gradual thing where people are going to start feeling different. They're going to start waking up in their dreams and exiting their dreams and going into these other worlds. So, yeah. So I see this spiritual awakening process happening for all of humanity. And then I also see all of this crazy stuff happening alongside it. So there's going to be ETs landing, there's going to be natural disasters, there's going to be artificial weather events. So there's going to be both. All of these things are going to be happening all at once. It's not like it's only going to be doom and gloom and it's only going to be awakening. I see both things happening. And yeah, I do think that some of the solar storms and the natural disasters is a natural thing that is just part of the cycle of Earth. But then also see those really dark groups who have access to the weather technologies. They are also going to use that strategically. So I see both actually happening. Yeah. Okay, is it safe to discard our hair just like after cutting them? Or is there any other way to do it safely as our hair has our DNA? Interesting. So, yeah, our body does have our DNA. So, our hair has our DNA in it, our blood has our DNA. But I would say that as you move around, your hair is always shedding. And I would say that your hair has probably made it halfway across the world at different times. So, if your hair went in the garbage or something and then that garbage was shipped to Malaysia or something, your hair is now in Malaysia. I don't think that that is a problem. Like when I tune in intuitively to it, I don't think you need to worry about that at all. The things that happen in this dream, in this material plane that we're in, it doesn't really matter. Your soul is way more powerful and can override anything. So, no, I don't think that matters. Your hair can hold like emotions and memory in it, which is very interesting. So if you cut it, then you might feel different, which could maybe be a good thing. But leaving your hair around, no, don't worry about that. I don't think that's anything to be concerned about. Okay, I wonder, do you think that we'll be able to leave here whenever we want someday like the angels? Because I heard someone else say that the day will come when we can leave and go wherever with these bodies, but I also hear of a reset too. I'm curious about your opinion on what the future holds. So I do think that will happen. Sounds crazy, but I do think that. So just like you see in those paintings and what they're saying in the Bible, I do see the sky will open, like I showed you. I also, though, see a flood happening. So, honestly, a lot of the stuff that's written in the Bible, it's written because it things will kind of play out based on what's written. So, I do see crazy weather, so flooding, like really big flooding, where full pieces of land will be totally covered in water. It will be quite a big flood. And around this time, people will be going underground, like all kinds of crazy things are gonna be happening. But then in addition to this, spiritual awakening will be happening. I really think that this is why they created the whole climate change thing and the global warming thing and blamed it on us so that when it does start happening and all this weather, crazy weather starts happening, we're not going to get mad at them for hoarding all the bunkers and stuff. We're going to be like, oh, yeah, it's our fault. Like, it's so crazy how they're doing that. But so we're going to blame ourselves for causing the earth to have all this crazy weather. But I also think a lot of people they're going to see through that. So, like they already are. I do think that people will start to see things beyond the veil, things like that. They're going to start exiting their dreams, and it's going to be very interesting. And I do think that we will be able to leave here whenever we want, and we'll be able to just leave and go wherever we want and never come back. I think that it is not normal to enter a world through another human and then just wait until you die. So you can't leave until you die and you don't even know when you're going to die. It's like, to me, that's very strange. We should be able to leave when we want. And I think that's one of the reasons why we have all of these very old souls who have come down here because they know that what's going on isn't right and they just want to get everyone out and end it, basically. So one day you are going to just be an angel or you're going to be something else, whatever you want to be. I do think that it is possible and it will happen. But I also see the sky opening and there being angels up there. Like we're going to actually see things coming out of the sky and it's going to be absolutely crazy. Are you saying the 5G ascension is the same as the upload into AI slash the harvest? Do you see a benevolent version of ascension too? Like what Lisa Renee talks about, for instance, or is it all a psyop? Okay. I've never heard of 5G ascension, but I think you might mean 5D ascension. So when you hear that 5D ascension in the new age or people channeling ET groups and talking about 5D ascension, I really do think that it's talking about a false ascension. So I don't think that ascension is fake as a whole. I think there is such thing as ascending, exiting where you are and going back to where you came from. To me, that's really what ascension is. It's just it's it's more of an individual thing. But when you look at these ET groups or any of these channelers, they kind of treat it as if it's this let's all get together and ascend as a group at a specific time and they're trying to treat it like it's this big event when it's really an individual thing. And I do feel like they're just trying to get people to ascend into an astral heaven, basically, that they've created. So it's kind of like a false copy of the real 5D, fifth, fifth realm heaven. And if you have ever gone into the astral and have astral traveled, you know that you are your own obstacle in the astral. So depending on what you want to do, where you want to go, that's what's going to happen. So if they can get a bunch of people to come into their false heaven, then All they really need to do is tell you about it and convince you of it, and if you have the will to go there, you'll go there. So basically, they want you to transfer your consciousness to their heaven because they need your creative mind and your abilities to manifest a nice place for them. And that lady you mentioned, Lisa Renee, so to me, I did look at some of her stuff and I saw that she writes the Ascension glossary. And to me, she does come off as an actress, um, and not super sincere. To me, she is very actually similar to Ashiana Dean. So they are both a very similar type of avatar. They're like a very high level, I think it's like a 12D avatar, a Lyran avatar. And when I look at the Ascension glossary stuff and the stuff that Lisa Renee says, she is right about so much. And I find Ashiana Dean is right about so much. Like the way she describes the angelic races and how there's a war going on, like that is how I see things as well. And she talks about how there's a fake Jesus and a real Jesus. I see that as well. It's like very crazy how so much of what they say is true. Pretty much all of it is true. But I feel like there's something missing from their content. They talk about how there's this kind of set system and like you want to go to 12D or whatever. But I think we should be going beyond 12D. And this is kind of strange, but I do notice that a lot of the people who channel information from different ET groups about 5D ascension, they all kind of say the same thing. So they're all saying things like, after you die, you have to go into 4D and you have to wait there. That's basically just waiting in the astral. And then you have to wait until you can reincarnate back onto the earth when that's not true. So you can see that's a very clever way of getting people to just wait in the astral. So I don't think that ascension is a psyop, but I think that there's a lot of lies that go on about it and a lot of false information. How do we prepare for the incoming earth changes? Okay, so I'm still looking into this. I definitely think something will happen. I'm kind of apprehensive to even share stuff like this because I don't think people should just be sitting and worrying and prepping. They should be having fun and just living their lives fully. That's the whole point of living. We should be able to live free. Because even after the earth changes or whatever crazy stuff happens, you don't stop living. You're just going to keep going. This idea of death is an illusion, as we know. I will say some things though. I see flooding happening in the next 10 years or so. So I see that there's going to be a lot of water coming up onto land. I also see the atmosphere changing. So we will be eating different things, more robust foods like legumes and more robust plants. I do get that the northern part of the earth will become more livable. So when all of this stuff starts happening, it could be a good idea to move north. Another thing that you can do is start thinking about a world where ETs are walking around. So other humanoid type beings like you are walking around. So think about how that will change your reality, your mindset, your industry that you work in, everything. So just start thinking about that, and that might help you get mentally prepared. Also, in the near future, living in a blue state or red state will affect your experience. Also, blue countries and red countries. So, that is something to consider. So, remember during COVID, which countries were more strict with the passport that they wanted to implement. It was mostly the blue states and the blue countries. Red states like Mexico and I'm sure other countries as well. They weren't really as strict. So that will have an effect on your experience going forward. Also, think about if you had to leave your country or state, where would you go hypothetically? So, think about that just in the back of your mind. Also, consider selling things that you don't like or that you don't use, just so that if you do have to leave where you are, you won't have a lot of stuff weighing you down. Just get used to that idea. Get used to not being attached to your material things. So I see our money system changing. I see the US dollar just going away. So be prepared for that. I think it's good to have your money in many different assets. I talk about that a lot in my readings. Also, in the future, people may get a little bit weird with religion. So you might see a lot of people transitioning to Scientology. I do see this as a strong potential. Just be aware of that. This will affect everything. This will affect movies, books, TV. It'll affect every industry. Do you ever speak about anything beyond the ice wall? It seems it is a totally different, less dense dimension on that side. I looked into this psychically just to see. So, beyond the ice wall is the real Earth. So, the Earth we are in now is not really the full picture. You may see some galactic beings there, so similar to the ones you would see in Avatar that are kind of animal like. You might see fae like humans. So, the kind of people you would see in Lord of the Rings, honestly. There might be some false information released about the ice wall, so just be aware of that. The people beyond the ice wall, they are more connected to each other spiritually, so they're like one spirit. Here in this enclosure that we are in, we're very disconnected from each other. We can't really feel each other. There's certain people that we can feel, but generally we're very disconnected from each other. So that's another difference about them versus us. And they are technically our family, so we are related to them. Okay, so that's it for this Q&A. And if you want your question to be answered in a future video, just put it into the Google form in the description and I will answer it. Also, if you're interested in my psychic development course, definitely check out the link, which is in the description below. And that's it for now. Thank you so much for listening, and I will talk to you soon.